Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Tim Scoggins, Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I am calling this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board to order at 6:30 on Monday, August 15th, 2016. And here's Mitch, right on time. Which has been working Campbell Camp lately and called me today to say he was going to do whatever he could to make it, and apparently it was good enough to make it. Just didn't let him answer his phone during the meeting.
Yeah, if I answer my phone, I'm out of here.
Okay, does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No.
No? Mitch?
No conflict.
First item of business is approval of minutes. We need that right here. Or wait a minute, before you go technically. We have minutes for the meeting of August 1st. That were circulated.
Oh, sorry.
That's Is there a motion to approve the minutes for August 1st? So moved. Tony?
Second.
Seconded by Art. Any discussion?
Yes.
Art?
Can you pull up paragraph 6? Or not
What?
paragraph 6, but and then second paragraph under public comments.
Okay.
About halfway down, the letter was sent on to the state and the town, and although the town, I don't know what we're trying to say there. Right there, just go a little bit further.
The letter went on to state that the town had, although the town was incorporating,
And then I
cooperating with the state to water, and the water was not getting culpability from pollution at
The town had all those destroyed.
The letter went on to state that the town
Was cooperating with the state.
Okay. I'll agree with that.
Okay.
There's too many towns.
Okay. Is that the only thing?
No.
Okay.
And towards the tail end, it has the date of when the ordinance for the changing the speed is 13, section 13.
Yes.
It said the first meeting will address on the 15th, which is today, and then the second around the 25th. I think that should be the 29th. Is that not right?
We don't have any more meetings till September, but we're gonna have to schedule a special meeting to
Yeah.
pay bills and all this. So I picked the 25th, it will probably now be the 26th.
Okay.
As it comes up later, it won't be 14 days apart, it just has to be at a meeting.
Okay, so it is going to be on a Thursday or Friday. Is that what
It will be,
Okay.
and mainly that's lining up with now, we'll get to in a little bit, the expected PFOA results.
Okay, I thought maybe you meant the 29th, which is really a Monday.
Yeah, no, we don't have another meeting until September, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to keep delaying this.
Okay, if that's what you meant, that's fine. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, so that one's okay then?
According to Dave, yes.
Okay. All right, and there's just that one amendment, which I can cross out here. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? I'm going to abstain, I was not there. So, there, that's crossed out. And Mitch, why don't you sign it since I wasn't there? It'll look better. Okay, for warrants, first one.
Do we have a quorum for the minutes that we could not approve last time?
I did not fix that part while I was on vacation, so I'll have it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Check warrant number 4 in the amount of $9,385.79.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mitch,
Second.
seconded by Art. Only a couple of large items here. There's 2156 to Mountain Air Assessors, our appraiser, and $1,700 to the Vermont Department of Corrections.
That's less street signs from stop signs and turn signs and everything.
Oh, okay.
You know, a lot of, we updated a lot of the work crew signs. That's what a big chunk of that is.
Okay. Any more discussion on check warrant number 4? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is agreed to, 500. Check warrant number 3. This is a retirement warrant in the amount of $122.27. Motion to approve from Mitch,
Second.
seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved, 500. I have payroll warrant number 3 in the amount of $17,645.52.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mitch,
Second.
seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Check warrant, payroll warrant number 3 in the amount of $17,645.52 is approved, 500. Are there any announcements? No announcements? Are there any public comments? Mr. Corey?
I just noticed you mentioned on the warrants here that some of them were for signs and everything. I mentioned before, can you get a new street sign over there on Corey Drive?
There's no street sign on Corey Drive?
There's not one that conforms, it's all faded out. I'm sure it doesn't conform to the new standard.
Okay.
I mentioned it once before when I was going on the apron.
Okay. We can put that on our list.
And then, I did submit a letter.
If I can for a minute, we have to have a recording of this. I don't believe he can be heard from there. We need to be able to put what you say in the minutes. You can't be heard from there. You need to come up close to
I'd
him.
like to ask you to come up with the fans and the heat. We're gonna need you to be closer to the microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, I did submit a letter on the PFOAs up in the wells up there. Can I speak on that, or?
Yes, you may.
I was confused on why it wasn't brought up.
It's not our policy to bring up letters in public necessarily. The general way that citizens interact with the select board is through public comments, so
So it is all right if I'm here, I can speak on that?
you may.
Okay. I'd just like to speak that since PFOAs has been found in the wells off North Road, I don't think it's a good idea to build a town garage up there at this site. I don't think the land should be disturbed. The town has purchased 3 lots totaling $120,000. And I think this was good to avoid well contamination around there. And now I just think that it should be kept vacant and not touched, because if you disturb it, I don't think it's a good idea. And I'm glad the PFOA was found before the town garage was trying to be built there, not after.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll make this comment about the PFOA, and I don't speak for the board, but my opinion is that very little has changed relative to the water situation at the landfill given the presence of POAs as of this time. And as of this time, we know we have one well at the site that tested slightly above the Vermont
I thought it was
standards.
2.
One is all we have so far. We had 2 tests from the same well. The one
And
well
what
was
was the
sampled
results?
twice. The Vermont standard is 20, and the 2 tests that were taken at the well registered 25 and 22
Parts per trillion.
parts per trillion.
But it still is over.
Yeah, but
And it's just like-
that's the only
It's just
one.
like going over the speed limit and then saying to the trooper, well, I wasn't over that much.
Well, no, the thing is that Vermont is the only one that's got that standard. Our standard is 3.5 times lower than any other state for PFOA.
But that is the standard.
I understand that. I'm just making a point.
And that's
all.
just like not paying your income taxes.
Well, it's also like the situation at the landfill before PFOA was discovered. And again, this is premature because we don't know how far it's spread yet, but if it's only in that one well at the landfill, the situation before that was discovered was that we had levels of iron and manganese from the bedrock that were slightly above Vermont standard from time to time. And the plant
But
had
that
always...
was in a well, the Crawford well.
It was in the monitoring, I'm speaking generally about the monitoring
It wasn't
wells.
in the well. Why didn't
Can
you buy
I
it?
finish, please? I'm talking generally about the wells that have been part of the monitoring program that get tested twice a year over the last 10 years or more at that site, at the landfill site. Various times those wells have tested slightly above Vermont standards for naturally occurring elements like iron and manganese. The fact that they tested above Vermont standards meant that we were very likely going to have to provide bottled water for the crew at the garage, but it was the opinion of engineers and the board that it was very unlikely that that water would ever be unsafe to wash trucks and flush toilets, still making the landfill an attractive place to put a garage because we own the land and don't have to spend more money to buy land. Now we have PFOA that's slightly above the Vermont standard, which Ken points out is a very low standard by nationwide comparisons. Again, we would feel comfortable washing trucks with water with a PFOA of 22 or 25 and providing bottled water for the crew. So, as of this
Just-
time, we're not changing our plan
Just
to
on-
move the garage.
You've mentioned just one well. How many wells do you plan on checking up there?
Currently, 26 wells around the landfill and a quarter-mile circle around the landfill are under test, and we're waiting on those
How many are
results.
you checking on the landfill property?
And then we're going to check the 4 wells that are downgrade of the landfill, which is the direction of
Those are
underwater
monitoring wells?
propagation.
Those are monitoring wells you're talking,
Yes.
okay? And then how about the Crawford property where the gray, spring houses, are you checking that well there?
No, our current plan is to check the wells that are in the direction of water flow from the landfill.
If I can clarify a little bit.
What?
If I can clarify a little bit, the state and our engineers are putting together our testing plan of which well and when they will be tested. They're not part of the current testing that went on last week. They'll probably be tested next week. The final documents are in review with the state right now. So that well you're talking about has not been mentioned. It's the ones down by the road. But just in case the document comes out with a changed well, the final plan from the state for retesting ours is not in yet.
Well, won't those wells always check
I'm sorry.
when the landfill was there?
I didn't hear what you said there.
Weren't those wells always checked before when the
They
landfill
check
was
twice a
there?
year.
Yes,
Yeah, twice a year they're checked, yes.
but you're just not checking them, they're still checked twice a year, but you're not checking them for PFOAs, is
The
that what you're saying?
the state is determining which wells to be checked for PFOAs based on their science, which I'm not going to attempt to explain. Because they're doing it based on their knowledge of how it works, and we'll take what they can tell us.
But they're still testing them for contamination,
Yeah.
not of PFOAs.
Oh, yeah, the other ones, this PFOA testing has nothing to do with the regular monitoring we do. This is
And
above
how many
beyond.
are you testing for contamination on a regular
I'd have to go
basis.
down and look, I don't want to tell you a figure that might
Before
be-
this goes on
Yeah.
too much longer, do you have a point about the number of wells that are being tested? Because we seem to be hitting a roadblock here in the discussion.
No, I just think it's an important point in my mind. But that's all right. Okay.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments? Okay. Treasurer's report. Melanie Dexter, welcome. How much money do we have left over?
I knew you were going to say that. I just did some adjustments the other day. There's still a few more to come. Joan gave me some stuff about the fuel oil. I think at our next meeting we'll have a definite number that we will stand behind. So that'll be in September, first meeting in September.
Yeah, we should be done by then.
Yeah.
We're talking about the tax rate.
I know the tax rate I do have.
Okay.
So that was talking about how much money we have left over. Is that what
Okay.
you said?
It
Yes,
is.
it was.
Yes, okay.
Thought maybe-
I didn't really expect you to respond except to say, leave me alone, I'll tell you
just had to
in
get that out of
September.
the way. This is one of these mid-month reports, not terribly informative. The thing that I'm monitoring here is our cash position, which is still strong enough so I don't need to draw on the line of credit. Once that starts dropping below, if you could make it go down a little ways. Once you see that the cash balance as of August 15th, we're still at over 200,000. Once that gets close to 100, I'm going to want to tap into that just so we are in a good position if we get any big expenses. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this. But I'd like to go on to the tax rate because that's hot off the press.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I assume we'll have to pay for the paving and all that sort of stuff out of our cash.
Oh, yeah,
Before
that's when you'll start seeing her going to the bank of
Yes.
money.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we have two major projects going on right now, plus the well at Howard Park. So, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that'll be
But
changing quickly.
we're in pretty good communication, and once I feel like it's getting close, I'll tap into that. We've already done all the paperwork, so
Yes.
it happens in hours once I know. Okay, so for the tax rate, I had everything ready to go, and I was just waiting for the grand list, which just came through today. So the bottom line is the municipal tax rate that I'm proposing that you approve tonight is 0.3842. And for comparison, that is very slightly below last year's 0.3894. So it's, rounding, but it's not only flat, it's actually a little bit better than last year. When you take into account the combined with the education taxes, which went up a little bit, it's still very flat compared to last year. As you can see, for residents of Shaftsbury, it's 1.64 versus last year it was 1.6337. So very, very slightly up. For non-residents, it's going to be 1.8208. Last year it was 1.8102. So again, very, very close. And the North Bennington people, it's a similar story, very, very close to last year. So I think we knew it was going to be close to flat, and there weren't any surprises.
Yep, good.
So the number you would need to approve tonight is, as I'm saying, this includes all the adjustments for the local agreement portion, and a little plug for possible abatements, which we have used that amount in the past years, and I talked about it with Jim Boyle, and he was comfortable with that, $3,000, just for unforeseen adjustments to the grand list. So the bottom line number that I'm proposing is 0.3842 for a municipal tax rate.
Okay. Any questions for Melanie? Is there a motion to set the tax rate for FY16 at
FY17.
FY17, thank you, at $0.3842 per $100 of evaluation?
So move.
Second.
Seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion to set the tax rate for FY17 at .3842 is approved 5-0-0. Very good.
Okay, anything else for me?
Get those tax bills out.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping me now. Got my paper, I got my envelopes.
Very good. Thank you, Melanie.
Okay.
Road foreman report.
I'm gonna play road foreman again tonight because Steve was working till nearly 5:30 with the different construction projects we had going on.
Good for him.
Harvest Hills and all Hewitt Drive have been repaved. Now that we're waiting to pull the chip sealing. That'll be done probably in a couple of weeks. Bowden Brothers did the final grading for East Road, and that'll be paved maybe later this week, could be early next week. Because we're done putting in all the culverts on East Road, they were out mostly today doing storm cleanup. A lot of trees came down apparently on Saturday. This was a large storm here. And they're out grading. We know we've been a little behind on that with the rain, but with the construction projects, we had to keep those timetables. They're out now with the graders, and so you'll be seeing the places where there are washes on the roads being cleaned up fairly quickly now. And then we'll move on to the fabric projects probably in September. We'll do a few of them now, and a couple in the spring. Keep going so they have time to get ready for winter. We're just right around the corner now.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, but it's coming up quickly. Harvest Hills, like I said, and Parent Acres, of course, for chip sealing will be done by the end of the month. We're going to shut the thing down. And East Road will be done soon. If there's any particular area of the road, someone knows, just call our hotline or call my office or the garage, and we'll get some deals.
Any more road talk? Thank you, David. Okay, tonight we have our chairman of our planning commission and Commissioner Dave Mance is here. We have been sent a letter from the planning commission introducing the select board to the changes that are occurring in the bylaws as they are being rewritten under the guidance and help of BCRC. In particular, Jim Sullivan has been to a lot of meetings, all the meetings, and the commissioners have been working through that. And Chris and Dave are here to tell us what they've been up to. Chris, can you come up?
Bring Dave too?
Sure. Bring one of those uncomfortable chairs over here.
Take the fancy chair.
Really, one of you should take the comfy
Hey,
chair.
take the comfy. Hey, Dave.
I've been falling asleep.
Well, we've had zoning in Shaftsbury for 36 years now, and this is the first comprehensive review of the bylaws in that time period.
Can I pause you 1 second? Do you think we can do without the fan noise? It's feeling kind of comfortable in here. I want to make sure everybody can hear.
Is that one?
Yeah, good.
It helps.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're going through the bylaw line by line, trying to see which things have worked, which things we think haven't worked. We don't want to do anything too radical. We don't want to change the basic shape of zoning in Shaftsbury, but there are a series of contradictions within the bylaw in that there are sections that refer to other sections that no longer exist, and so it's a comprehensive reading to pick up things like that. The other thing we find is that state land use statutes have changed a great deal in the 36 years since zoning has been implemented, and the state has taken over certain areas that we don't have jurisdiction over anymore, such as wireless communication towers and lake protection zones and such like that. So we're striking those sections or adjusting them to comply with state statute. And the other thing we find is that a special focus on the village districts, feeling that commercial districts especially haven't really worked out as envisioned, and it represents a changing attitude in the time that zoning's been in effect, in the time when zoning was implemented. There was great concern that Vermont was developing too fast, that growth was something you should be afraid of, and that you had to rein things in or your community would no longer be recognizable. And that certainly happened in some places. I wouldn't say it happened in Shaftsbury, but you know, it was kind of a punitive approach to especially commercial uses. A report that Art Whitman's Economic Development Committee produced, 7, 8 years ago, which had the unfortunate title of Shaftsbury's Future History, talked about impediments of zoning to the village center commercial districts. And so we looked at this hard, and we feel like that we haven't succeeded in attracting much commercial business over the period that zoning's been in place. We value what we have, but the commercial districts, we have 2. They're right next to each other along Route 7A. They're tiny, and they have very little commerce. So we're looking at, well, I should say, there are no commercial uses allowed as of right in the commercial district. They're all conditional uses subject to approval by the DRB. So we've tried to find a reasonable way to loosen these things up in a way that doesn't open the door too wide, but yet gives more opportunity for growth in the commercial districts, which would be changing certain uses, and I can enumerate them if you want, from conditional use to permitted use with site plan review, meaning get your parking right, get your wastewater disposal right, get screening or whatever the bylaw requires for that type of business, but it's the underlying presumption is that it's permitted, and this would be a considerable change. Would it result in a flood of new business? Doubtful, but these things happen over time, and so we're looking to just tweak the general tenor of the bylaw to see if we can attract business over time. Beyond that, there's lots of small changes. I enumerated some of them in my memo, and there are others that weren't, but they're even smaller. So zoning is very technical. It's full of lots of nitpicking little requirements, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have. And you know, we're maybe approaching halfway completion of the project. We're on schedule, we're on budget, and we're looking for input.
Would it be helpful to read at least a part of your letter that enumerates the major changes that you identified for the
I can do that.
board? It's on the screen behind you if you like.
I do have a printed copy right in front of me. All right, I spoke about commercial uses in the Village Center District. The recreation overlay zone along Route 7A has been deleted to streamline regulations. The allowed uses have been incorporated into roadside commercial district. Shoreline district has been deleted because state statutes govern, and because all land in the district is either state-owned or privately conserved. The Village Commercial District has been renamed the Village Center District along with the Village Residential. This envisions the village as a high-density mixed-use district that is the site of much of the town's infrastructure. Setbacks for commercial uses have been reduced for front yards from 30 feet to 5 feet, because in the village setting, people build right up on the road. We have lots of non-conforming structures for side yard from 15 feet to 10 feet and rear yard from 30 feet to 10 feet. This is village density.
Chris, don't we have 2 village commercial districts? Or is it,
Yes, we do.
does this apply to this, the second one?
This applies to both commercial districts.
Okay.
Isn't 5 feet a little close from the road?
If you owned a country store, you wouldn't think so.
Well, that's back more than 5 feet, but you get snow plowing, Chris. You could have windows going and
That's 5 feet from the road line.
5 feet from the right of way.
Right.
Right.
Route 7 is a 4-rod road, so 66 feet. So
Yeah.
now you're back 38 feet.
Okay.
From the
All right.
center line.
Okay. All right.
It's not as drastic as it sounds.
Well, no, but I mean, I was just thinking about, like I say, snow blowing.
Right. Well, we're looking at what's out there in the built environment, and we're seeing that there are too many non-conforming structures in the village because setbacks, these are really designed for rural residential or subdivisions. This doesn't apply to the building patterns that you see in the village.
Do you still have the village commercial 1 and 2, or have you done away with those?
Well, we do, but we're questioning it.
Okay.
Right.
And
That's
so-
still on the table.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, these are very small districts.
Because I never really understood the difference between them.
Well, the main difference between 1 and 2, and I can't remember which was which, but from the Four Corners south, basically, that was changed by a petition route of the owners down there who didn't want to have a ice cream parlor. So they wanted to back off on the allowable commercial use, even though it was our commercial district.
Right.
So we're still discussing whether or not we ought to allow, just have one
Yeah, okay.
commercial use.
Thank you.
And I would just comment for the folks playing along at home that that's the kind of thing we're looking for input from the citizens about. From a planning point of view, it makes sense to have a commercial district, a village district that includes residents and commercial uses. That's the general way things are done. You've got, a store and a shop, a residence upstairs, and maybe a residence next door, all densely packed and close to the street. And that's the way the typical urban planning design would dictate. Ours is different. Are we ready to go with the modern thinking, or do people have strong opinions about keeping it the way it is? That's what we'd like to hear about.
Back to the memo. Regulations for telecommunications structures, cell towers, etc. have been deleted. State regulations govern. Conditional uses in roadside commercial district have been expanded to include restaurants. Permitted uses in forest and recreation district have been expanded to include, quote, commercial or non-commercial facilities supporting non-motorized, low-impact dispersed recreational activities that are suitable for the forest environment, unquote. So this expands possibilities in the forest and rec zone. To better describe non-conforming situations, a section on non-conforming structures has been added to complement the present non-conforming uses. Because owner-drawn site plans have been so inaccurate and incomplete in the past, the bylaw now requires that they be prepared by a licensed design professional.
Chris, is there any way that you could maybe modify that or take it out? Because
Sure.
when you start adding licensed professionals to design that stuff, you can start adding a lot of money real quick.
Well, we're looking at the money. We're calling people up and asking them what they would charge.
I mean, what I'm thinking is maybe just say, well, now, what's your measurement from the side of this building to the property line or whatever? We want it to be accurate. so that, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I would be concerned about the cost of hiring somebody to put together an application, but at the same time, we've gotten some really horrendous amateurish sketches
Oh,
that don't bear much relation to what's out there.
I'm not doubting that a minute, but, you know,
Well,
like I
all
say,
right.
it's just
So what's your
with
remedy for
everything, you
that?
got the government throwing stuff at you, now you're talking local throwing something at you.
Yep.
And it's just, everything is getting worse and worse as far as cost.
I think that there may be an opportunity to allow the DRB to provide a waiver. But one of the real problems that the DRB faces is somebody comes in with a plan that they claim is accurate. They go ahead, they follow the plan. As soon as they're done, they're in violation because the plan wasn't accurate. They built their house that is non-conforming, or they have driveways that, you know, that the plan has to be accurate enough so that when you implement it, you still comply with the law. And we've actually had cases where that's not happened.
Yeah, I know,
And
because
so-
Dave set me up the one up in North Shaftsbury, and I looked at it, their measurement was way off.
So, do you need a design person for every application? Perhaps not. But there are instances where a plan drawn on the back of the permit is just, and the owner feels they're accurate. Or we hope they do, because they've signed that
Does the
that it
zoning
is accurate,
administrator ever,
but the zoning administrator is not the person that goes out with a tape measure and checks it. When an application comes into the DRB, the person submitting that application certifies that it's accurate. And been on these boards long enough to know that there's many times when that just is not the case.
right, but if you don't check up on it, how the hell?
That's why if you have a licensed design professional, it's their license that's on the
Yeah, I
book.
understand that.
So when
but
they
still,
build that building and it winds up 3 feet inside the town right of way, there's
Wouldn't it be
recourse.
cheaper to pay the zoning administrator a little
No.
more money to have him go check it?
No,
Why?
because it shouldn't be the town's responsibility to make sure that an applicant is following the rules. That's what the DRB does, but they're not gonna go out there and design it. They review a design. It's up to the applicant, if he wants to do this, follow the steps and make sure that what's being submitted is right. And like I say, some of the applications, and part of what Chris alluded to now is that we're trying to streamline this so that a site plan comes in, the zoning administrator can look at it, it goes to the DRB. They're not reviewing it under the conditional use criteria. They're simply reviewing it under the site plan criteria. So they have a checklist. But that checklist is pretty complete. And that's the way it is right now in our ordinance. We're not changing. In fact, we've taken out some of the things that were on that checklist. But is it fair for somebody to have to go out and hire somebody to meet those criteria, and then have somebody else come in and say, well, you know, this is what it is. Well, you don't have this, 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 and this on it. And then they go back and they just, you know, it's really not fair to the town to have two sets of criteria.
Yeah, but it'd be
So
cheaper.
if those are the criteria, if you can meet that criteria in doing your own plan, the DRB may be able to waive that. But you shouldn't, I don't think the DRB should be put in a position of saying, well, I don't have to hire somebody to make sure this is right, because it only says these are what needs to be shown on the map, and nobody knows if they're accurate or not.
Well, it's no more accurate if you have it as you just drop a picture, so what? I mean, what if you charged them another $30 to have the zoning administrator go check it out? No?
I don't think she has the authority. Or,
She
I
doesn't
didn't
have
mean
the
to say
skills,
she-
number one, and she's, you know, $30
Well,
and
I'm
hardly
just,
pay for it to drive out and show up at a property, let alone try to understand what's going on.
well, I'm using that as an example. I'm just concerned, like I say, well, when you start getting licensed professional people in there, like that one that I went up, measured up last summer, and I forgot what the deal was, something about the right of way of the road or something, I think. And it didn't take me that long to do it, but by the same token, if you'd had an engineer have to design the whole damn thing, it would probably cost half as much as this project.
Well, we're not asking them to design anything, we're asking them to accurately show it. Is it fair for one applicant to come in and be required to hire an engineer or an architect or somebody, and then have their neighbor come in and not have to provide that same level of detail?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
Well,
saying,
that is what you're saying.
no, it ain't. I want it the same for everybody. I'm just trying to
Right.
keep the cost down.
Well, then,
Because everything, you know what things cost, I don't have to tell you.
then the most complicated plan in this town, somebody should be able to draw that out on a piece of paper and bring it in and submit it. If everybody's gonna be treated equal.
Well, you gotta do that, or your plan ain't no good anyway, I'll
I
guarantee
think
you that.
we've got both sides there. And Ken, let me say that I made the same argument to the planning commission that you're making now, and they convinced me that inaccurate site plans are a real problem. Somebody can build a house that violates code, and we could legally tell them to go back and tear their house down. We're probably not going to do that. We're probably just going to end up with a house out of code. And so if we can come up with a way to make sure site plans are accurate without forcing people to go to a design professional, we need to hear it. But I think Art is right that the zoning administrator, I don't think, can even legally do that. She is very limited in the amount of help that she can actually give, because she's supposed to be an arbitrator in a similar sense that the DRB is. So, unless you want to hire an $80,000 a year person to review site plans, because they need to, be competent in doing it, or if you want to pay a surveying company to go out and check a site plan, then you're essentially, doling out town money for somebody's construction project if you're paying for their site plan. So I agree with you. It's an impediment to
Yeah.
commerce, and one that I'd like to find a solution to, but the best solution that the PC has come up with so far is to require a design professional.
Well, I think that, maybe we could look at, because the software that is available to the public, oftentimes at no cost, it has gotten much simpler over the years, that a site plan that wasn't too complicated, someone could conceivably draw it using free software, or, go down to Staples and buy a program like, there's at least half a dozen down there.
Yeah, but the real issue is not the how pretty the plan is, but how accurate it is.
Right.
And
Well, what
whether-
I'm suggesting is that for an owner-drawn site plan, we're going to put in a provision for a DRB waiver of that requirement, licensed design professional. If they can come with a plan that's drawn accurately and includes all the pieces of setbacks and screening and driveways and whatever.
Maybe
contours.
pictures of the site?
Well, but, contours. How do you establish contours? How do you work drainage? Where you're going to be regrading? This is beyond the ability
Yeah, but it
of
all comes
most-
down to the accuracy of it. I mean, if somebody comes in and says they're going to put this thing that makes a little bit of noise, and it's going to be 500 feet from the nearest person who can hear the noise, and then it goes in and it ends up, it's 400 feet, and the people don't like the noise, we've got a problem. And the idea with a design professional is they're putting their license behind the accuracy of those measurements. And that gives us a higher degree of confidence that kind of problem is not going to come up. Let's go on. What else we got?
Alrighty. Metal plating, solid waste, and hazardous waste management facilities have been deleted as conditional uses in the commercial industrial district It was felt that these high-impact uses are not suitable for the high visibility area along Route 7A and Airport Road. But we're not being inundated with requests to establish these things either.
Would they be available anyplace?
Industrial.
Industrial districts, you're right. And it's just that, you know, that stuff right out front as you're coming through the town, it's too ugly looking.
Yep.
Okay, questions that we are discussing but haven't come to any conclusion yet on our Shaftsbury presently has 2 tiny commercial districts, VC1 and VC2, with hardly any commerce. Do we really need 2 districts? Perhaps commercial uses are better limited by lot size and state wastewater requirements. Shaftsbury presently has 2 industrial districts, I1 and I2. Perhaps they should be reconfigured to recognize the residential neighborhoods around the former Stanley Tools plant as low impact and the area along Airport Road as high impact. The present bylaw has no definition for mixed uses. We intend to provide one. Should mixed uses be allowed in all districts? Does land grading constitute development? Presently, our zoning bylaw says it does. Should a permit be required to regrade a large area? In light of this recently discovered drinking water pollution, should we implement an aquifer protection overlay zone for the West Mountain Aquifer? Should we implement ridgeline protection zoning to prevent the building of camps on highly visible ridges? We're glad to provide copies of our working drafts to anybody who's interested.
So you kind of see where we're going with this. A lot of it is just, like Chris said, cleaning up obvious mistakes. But as you read through these things, questions that weren't asked 36 years ago when these were implemented are questions now, and the commissioners are coming up with ideas on some, solutions for some, and still grappling with others.
Camps, isn't there above a certain level, aren't there some restrictions as far as toilets and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Yeah. This is more of an aesthetic thing
Okay.
that it's got a lot of discussion ahead of it.
Okay.
Yeah, the question is, you know, would we rather not see a cabin up on some of our ridge lines, even a cabin that doesn't have a septic? And that's open to debate.
One of the other things we're actually going to be starting the next time too is to try to make the regulations more understandable by having, number one, a flow chart. So if this is what you're doing, these are the steps you have to follow, but also to take our uses and have them in table form so someone can quickly look at the RR district. These are permitted uses, these are permitted with site plan, these are conditional uses. And most towns are going to that, so it's kind of like a quick reference, and then you go to the individual section to get the details.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the work. Appreciate
Second
you
and
showing
fourth
up here.
Tuesdays, 7 o'clock, right here.
Yeah.
We don't serve refreshments, but we welcome it, but
A good time is had by all. I can tell you, I've been going to the PC meetings, and I enjoy them because you really get into the big picture stuff and thinking about what kind of town we want this to be. And the bylaws are an important part of how this town operates, how we attract people in business. So it's a good thing to bring your input to.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 11 is probably going to be on the agenda for sometime to come, along with other standing agenda items like the town garage, PFOA landfill update, and our current situation is we're waiting to get test results back.
All the wells, except for one, were tested last week. The one, the property owner does not want it tested. So the tests have been taken, the lab received them on Friday. The expected due date is August 26th, so I would expect us to be having a special meeting around the 26th. As soon as I get notified that it's done, we'll start sending us the results right away, and we should probably have a meeting for that, and we'll take care of some other business at that time too. I don't want to wait till the first meeting in September, because the first one will be for like a week after that. I don't think we should wait that long. And that's about it. Right now, we're just waiting on those 26 tests. Just the town wells that are being tested, that is a separate program that is still being developed by the state. The state decides which wells are going to be tested. It's probably going to be those 4 down the bottom, but I don't want to speculate. I don't have it in my hands yet, but that should be done by the end of the week, and they'll come do that next week, and we'll wait the extra 10 days for that. But it's more important to get the homes done, which is why that got done first.
Right.
How does the town stand legally with somebody that refuses to have their well tested?
That's a question that I have not put to our attorney yet. We cannot mandate it.
You can't mandate it.
No.
But 5 years from now, they come back and say, I have health problems caused by PFOAs.
It would be my suspicion that that would be to our benefit, that he didn't take advantage of the free testing.
I hope the attorneys will come up with a waiver that they have to sign.
I will look into that for you.
I would think we've got to protect ourselves, don't you?
I think that's a valid concern. I would ask, before I spend attorney money on it, I'd ask the state, somebody like Casey, if
Yeah,
they
It
have
probably has happened some other place.
Yeah.
probably happened
yeah.
before, yeah.
I'll ask again. My impression from this morning was that if you don't want us to do it, we won't do it. Yeah, we can't mandate that you protect yourself.
And again, this is to measure the scope of the problem.
Right.
And, you know, if it's somebody whose next door neighbor tests negative, we're probably not concerned
I
about it.
understand, but what happens if the neighbor is quite high? Can we go back to that original process?
Oh, I think if we get any positive things, that we would certainly go back, and I would recommend it to the state. I would call it myself and just say, you know,
Okay.
look, this is the results. Are you sure you don't want?
Okay,
Because you can't do this test on your own. You can't go buy a kit.
yep,
You
I
have to have a
understand.
specialized lab for this. So, but we'll see what comes back in 2 weeks, and we can address it then. But I will bring it up. I'll ask the state again. Is there anything you can do? But it's like a lot of people. If you're offered a service, whether it's vaccinations, and you don't want to do it, then
Yeah, but I can be fined for not wearing my seatbelt,
yes.
so I see that along the same idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. I'll check into that for you.
The other thing I would mention is, as you know, the select board sent a letter to Alyssa Schur, who's the commissioner at the A&R in charge of PFOA testing, along with copies of that letter to every high-level state official. We have not received a direct response to that back yet, but I can tell you that on our behalf, our state rep, Alice Miller, has been in communication with Alyssa Schur, and Alyssa is sympathetic to our plight, and like the rest of us, she wants to wait and see what the results of the tests are that come back and see how big the problem is. We're still hopeful that we're not going to have a lot of homes contaminated with PFOA.
you're okay to wait until the tests come back then, before we sit down again? You think that's the best?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think it could end up, that we don't have any or just a few. And if it's a few homes that need point of entry treatment systems, and the state is saying, fine, put in 3 of those and you're done. I think we should put in 3 of those and be done, because by the time we sit down with a lawyer and ask, how much is it going to cost to try and, find somebody to pay for this, or, trying to get money out of the state, there's not a pool of money available
I
for it.
understand that, but I think the question's got to be faced pretty soon, because this could be just, PFOA could be one of many, many things we start finding
Emerging
when we start doing parts per trillion and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
I just think that the state can't stick their head in the sand. I think we've got to talk about it, and I'm willing to talk to them to say,
Right.
look at. But if you're happy, if you're satisfied with waiting
I
for
think
the
so.
test to come back,
I think
okay.
based on the third-hand communication that I got, that
Okay.
Alyssa is sympathetic to our plight and realizes that this could easily turn into something that a lot of towns can't
Yes.
handle on their own.
Okay.
I think the state is aware of that.
Yep. Okay. Good.
What's the perspective, or is there none? If, say, you find 3 houses on the north edge of that quarter-mile circle, are they then going to expand it farther north, or?
That's what I would expect, yes.
The plan as explained to me was they would expand the radius to a half mile in all directions. That's what they told me.
In all directions, even if it was only on one side?
That's what they told me. They move in concentric circles. If it goes outside of a quarter mile, they move it to a half mile radius, which it seems counterproductive, but they have to protect and everything. It's water. You could have it going this way and then comes back. Yeah, that's,
Bureaucracy at its best.
well, that's how, if you look at how it started, it keeps sweeping out too from how they did Bennington too.
Okay.
That's why they keep adding little.
It's not just bureaucracy, it's also immature science. They
Yeah.
really don't know a lot about how this stuff spreads. And so when you don't see it going down grade like you expect, but you see it moving into the north like you say,
Yeah.
we don't know why it's over here and not there. So the only really thing we can do is draw a bigger circle and see if we can make out a pattern after that.
Okay. That's fine.
How much have we spent so far?
Actually, I don't even have a bill yet, but the estimate is going to be about $700 per household. So that's about $20,000. I would think we're going to be easily hit 25,000
Just for testing.
just for testing. The water isn't really moving that fast, so I'm not very concerned about that. The real cost is the testing, and it's very expensive, and that doesn't include our wells. So you can add another, and our wells are more expensive, I believe, so you're going to add on maybe 4,000 on top of that. So, yeah, we're up to easy 25,000, I would think, so far.
Well, see, our wells are all about the same depth, right?
Yeah, they're all fairly shallow wells.
Okay, but the wells at them houses are gonna be random depths.
Yeah, and that's
Could be 50 feet, could be 400.
yes, but they are, well, I wouldn't discuss how they test each individual house without reading from their actual documents, because it can be confusing. But they did do every house before any kind of household treatment system except for one, because they couldn't get to it, so they took it from multiple sites, and they're going to maybe run 2 or 3 tests on that one house. Because the one sample had to come from a hose, one came from a tap. Because the way it was designed, and I wasn't there, but I'm just going off the same, the way it was designed, they could not get to a point ahead of where it hit a treatment system. So they'll evaluate those test results as they look at each individual one. And if they decide they have to do another one, they will. Like I said, all but one have been tested, and they were all submitted last Friday. They should have arrived in the lab last Friday. They were all submitted last Thursday.
Good.
Okay, item 12. Any more on the happy subject of PFOA?
That's the nebulous subject.
Okay, we'll move on to the happy subject of the sidewalk on the corner.
Well, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, very late today, I put in the Dropbox, I received this a little after 5 o'clock on KS analysis of the one bid. We received one bid for the sidewalk from Weaver. It's both KS's opinion and V-Trans' opinion that we do not accept that bid. There were a number of cost factors that they thought were too much. And from the town's point of view, the total bid, if you put in the construction inspection, just taking the lowest bid, not saying we're going to take that one, but we would be $60,000 over budget. We simply don't have the money to build the sidewalk as proposed here. A lot of it was
And
caused.
let's point out that the KAS estimate was that we would have money left over from our grant that we would give back, that we had more than enough money to build it, so that it's a really high estimate.
It's a very high bid. It's driven mostly by the 3 ad alternatives, as they're called, which is the 3 street lights, the pedestrian crossing sign, the radar speed signs. They come in very high, and that's what we want to look at again. The radar speed signs came in at 23.2. The crosswalk at 17.2, and the street lights at nearly 33,000. Bottom line is we don't have the money. So it's hard to say whether the bid is just too high or was so far back from when this started that we need to replan this, but we need more bids to have an accurate assessment of whether or not this is good. This could be a perfectly fine bid, but we have nothing to base it on. KES analysis was based on similar work they've done, and when they do their mathematical analysis doesn't come out the same. They figured nine factors are over, and 2 of the addendums are clearly over from their experience. V-Trans feels the same way. So in discussing with them, we think we can, if the board chooses not to accept the Weaver bid, we could rebid it by Thursday and still have a chance of getting it in this fall. We would have to change the closing date and not set a date for December in case someone wants to bid and do it in the spring. And we would also take away the requirement for builders to purchase plans for $90. It's part of a federal thing. But KAS has agreed just to put their plans online in PDFs, so you can just look at them and make a bid on them. We hope that will attract. If we had 2 or 3 bidders, at least we would know. And if it turns out, by not having a deadline, if it turns out that the prices have just escalated so much that we really do need money, we could at least budget that money for fiscal 18 to start next July, because there's no other way to do it. It just has come in way higher than we expected. So we have that bid, and then we also have the construction inspection. Now, these 3 bids are actually a lot closer than they appear. But again, I'm going to follow V-Trans advice, and with the board's permission, I think we should hold these until we're firmer on what's going on with construction. By writing letters to the 3 bidders, I can just tell them that we just are postponing the decision until we're ready to accept a bid from the contractor. Because now we could be talking about, if we got 3 bids, but the lowest and most acceptable bid turned out to be to start next May, I doubt these gentlemen who put in the CI are going to hold their price till next May. So I think the best thing to do with that bid is to just vote to allow me to put it on hold, and I'll write letters as required on the federal bidding procedure to the principals and say that we'll take this up at a later date. And that's uniform. KAS and V-Trans both think that we should go for more bidders.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, we have a motion from Art to, I believe,
You want 2 separate ones, or?
I think we should have 2 separate ones because they're 2 totally separate contracts here. bids
Okay.
here.
Because we only received 1 bid, and both the design company and Vermont Department of Transportation says they don't think it's within what they expected, that we hold off and put it out to bid again. Okay?
So we're going to reject the 1 bid,
Reject the Weaver bid and
1 bid we
rebid
got, and rebid
by the end of the week.
by the end of the week, softening the requirements on the construction date to
the completion date, the construction completion date, and the requirement to purchase plans in advance.
Do we have do you want to put a completion date into the motion?
I have to talk to everybody at V-Trans and KAS. We might make it open till some point next year. That's a detail we still have to go through with them.
Okay. Do we just want to reject the bid now and then
Yeah,
later?
the bid should just be rejected this evening.
Okay. So tonight, the motion is to reject the one bid we got for the sidewalk project upon recommendation of V-Trans and KAS because it's too high.
Second.
Seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion to reject the one bid for the sidewalk project because it was too high is approved. 5-0.
And then we need a second motion.
Okay,
Yep.
my second motion would be to hold off on accepting the bid for the inspection.
So the motion is to put a hold on the bids for construction inspection
Until the construction bid is.
until a construction bid is approved.
Yeah, we can leave it that way. If something comes up to modify that, we can modify that. If I get advised by V-Trans, now's the time to do it, I'll bring it back to the board.
Okay. Seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
So the motion to put a hold on the construction bid, construction inspection bid until we get an acceptable construction bid is approved, 5-0. Okay.
We'll let everyone know tomorrow, and we should have the bid up, apparently it's Bennington Battle Day for the state tomorrow. It's a state holiday, so we'll get this working on Wednesday.
Okay. And just remind me, when we put this out to bid, we put it in the paper? Is that what we're allowed to do?
Yeah, we put it in the banner. They put it in. There's several bidding sites that
Okay.
larger contractors use. And the only people who can bid on this are V-Trans certified contractors. So V-Trans puts it on their site for those contractors, and KAS has a site.
Okay.
It gets around that way. And people who can bid on V-Trans projects all see this.
Okay.
Are we somewhat limited on who can do this then? If only.
Yes, you have to have, and I can't say it off the top of my head, but you have to be a V-Trans certified contractor.
Okay.
And that's again, like, unfortunately, a lot of the cost of this project is because it's federal money in it.
Okay.
They gotta be bonded too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Do you have a record, Dave, of what the original sidewalk down looks
Oh,
at?
yeah, it's all up there. There's files and files of this sidewalk.
Cause I'm just wondering what that cost. Can't believe it cost any part of, or that much more than that job.
And one of the problems with with time is it all starts getting a little more expensive, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, for 300 feet of sidewalk.
I will not try to justify it.
Thank you.
But we don't know, we have to see other bids to see if this.
Yeah.
He could resubmit this bid and be the winning bid. Who knows, but we have nothing to compare to that, we don't know where it is, there's nothing to, based on like I said, their experience, they think we should bid again, without making judgments on this bid.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, item 13 is the Elm Street speed limit change proposed, first reading. Shall we read it?
Well, you can read it.
It's,
This is the copy to be signed.
Does it have to be read or can?
I think you can summarize it, it's just changing
Okay.
the speed limit in that little
yeah,
segment.
we're changing the speed limit on Elm Street from 35 to 25. That's what these 2 pages say.
And appropriate signs will be used.
Yeah, it all has to meet the manual of uniform traffic control devices. The ordinance I wrote this up based on other towns and sent it to Merrill for approval. They're legally worded correctly, and we're ready to go. We'll start putting it in. We have to have 3 readings here. It has to be in the banner. You know, people have to be aware that they have 5 days, not 5 days. There's a certain amount of period where they can appeal for it to be repealed.
Will this be on the town website or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the town website so people can just read this document. I'll just make a box for it on the front page after you adopt it tonight, so people can just read it.
Okay, I think,
Yeah.
as long as we make it apparent that it's public
Right.
information.
Yeah,
and all
Right,
sorts of stuff.
and I can summarize quickly here that it states the authority that allows us to set the speed limit, why we want to change the speed limit for safety, based on neighborhood character and those types of things. Talks about the criminal penalties that, where our authority comes from to do that. They become they're set by the schedule of fines by the state of Vermont. Enforcement officials are sheriffs and state troopers who can enforce the speed limit, and then some legal stuff.
Okay.
Okay,
First
so we
reading.
don't need to do anything except just
We'll put it up there, yeah.
Put it up? Okay.
Yeah, we put it up. You just need to formally adopt it.
We didn't do that last time, did we?
No, because the date was today to formally adopt it.
Motion to adopt the speed limit on Elm Street from 35 to 25 miles an hour.
moved by Mitch,
Second.
seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion to lower the speed limit on Elm Street from 35 to 25 is approved, 500. And that is the first reading. Town Administrator's Report.
I just need everyone to sign that. That's the actual signed copy that will go in the town
Okay.
records. For the town administrator's report, while you're signing that, I think I covered everything I have to say in the administrator's report. There is a meeting, Mitch, which I know you can't attend, this Thursday, which I've told Mike Batcher I will attend for SWIP. I don't know if you'll allow me to vote. There's some things to be voted there. Put the appointed rep to it.
You have my permission
Just wanna-
to vote accordingly.
There's a number of things that have to be voted on at this meeting.
Is this the 24th or
Yeah, the 24th, yeah.
today's the 15th, just a week before?
You've been up
A
there
week,
clear.
yeah. I'm a little
This
ahead
is
of
the first
myself.
reading
but-
of acceptance
I'm
of
sorry, could
services.
y'all say that again? What's happening on the 24th?
We have a SWIP meeting to go through the first year of the
new
Benton
arrangement.
County Solid Waste.
Yeah.
What we,
And changes in the upcoming plans and how any changes to the organization, different roles that are in the organization. Basically, it's the managers from Bennington, Manchester, Dorset, and representatives from the other towns that attend this meeting. Mitch is this Shaftsbury's liaison to it, but I know he can't make this meeting. I've been keeping up because I get copied the emails, but I told him I would attend this meeting because we need to have somebody there.
yeah, I'll read through there and if I have any questions, I'll.
Yeah, let me know.
You're just not going to be able to attend because of work.
Well, I just assume that you can't make this meeting because you've got too much going on.
The other liaisons to this are selectmen?
Tony and
No, mostly it's the.
Oh, you're the alternate on this?
Oh, are you the alternate?
Can you be at this meeting?
What time? When? Thursday?
The 24th,
a week from
Thursday, 4 to
Thursday.
6.
Yeah, where's it gonna be?
For a technical point of view, most of this has to do with implementation of things at the transfer station. And I would kind of feel more comfortable if I was tighter into what these guys were deciding on doing there, because we have to run the transfer station. So it's kind of like this group is making decisions that we have to implement here, and I think I'd like to give them a little pushback on some of the things they talk about.
So you'll attend.
Because it affects what we have to do here.
Makes
You know,
sense.
Yeah, I
it's
think
kind
it'd be
of-
a good idea for you to attend. I think it'd be a good idea for a selectman to be there
Email
too.
me.
Okay, well, you know, and Mitch, if you can attend, Because there's one vote per town, which is the other thing, and if we're not present, we don't, in the process that was set up originally, we don't get a vote.
I'm not
And
sure
only
they're gonna
one
see
person-
you as our vote. They'll probably accept our,
No, because actually, we're one of the few towns that doesn't, any town that has a manager, the manager, and the administrator, is the vote. They go,
Oh, it is?
Yeah, because it's an operational thing, really.
okay.
It's how the day-to-day functioning of it. It's not any,
4 o'clock, that
Yeah.
4 o'clock timeline is just, not,
it's difficult for a lot of people. It's really set because that's when doors at Manchester and Bennington get out and go to the meeting.
And where's the meeting?
This week it's at Arlington.
Arlen,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because basically they talk about operational things.
For email.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, I think it'd be good to have a selectman there. Is that it for town
yeah,
administrator?
that's basically. it.
Okay, do we have any other business? Action items, I'm gonna back up a little bit because I don't remember what happened last week since I wasn't here. At our water board meeting, we were trying to get a hold of a copy in editable format of the North Bennington water regulations that we want to adopt, but we want to fold our policy into. Still working on that. My last reach out was to Steve Goodrich over at North Bennington, and I haven't heard back from him, so I'm hoping that he'll provide me with a Word document that we can edit that on. That just needs to get done. There's not a real hard deadline. It'd be nice to do that by our next water board meeting. Jim McGinnis was going to talk to the town treasurer. We might remind him that we've got at least one property that's delinquent on the water bill to the point where we need to look and see what our next steps are there. And legally, we can foreclose on a property that's delinquent in the water bill the same way we can foreclose on a property that doesn't pay their taxes. And this one looks like one where something like that may have to get done. At our next meeting, there was a citizen request to look at putting improvements on Corey Drive into our list of projects that we'll be discussing during budget season. That just stays on the list for a while. Dave, while he was on vacation, generated an estimate of the park improvements that we need, I'm sure.
Actually, yeah, I had that done beforehand. It's going to be about $10,000.
Oh, I was kidding. I didn't think you
No,
had-
yeah, no, I got it's material. The material is going to come in between $8,000 and $10,000. We're going to have the road crew. I'll get 2 guys. We'll figure out how to do this. We're daily digging basically down about 12 to 18 inches in a rectangle. Just dig it up and then you just put this stuff down, and we're basically done. The other thing at Howard Park is we're just going to take those 2 pieces of equipment up and store them. I mean, we don't want to throw them out. They can go back, but not in the current state, and they should be moved away from our attractive hazard called the pond over there. So what we need is the engineered wood fiber, which I have bids from 2 companies from, and then it turns out all of it comes from this one company, so the prices are almost identical. So what we'll do is we'll dig it up, like I said, because now the major projects are done. Put down all you're going to do is put down some of the road fabric, and you just put this down on top of it. I talked to, your name just escaped me, but over at the school, because he did the playground over there, and they just dug down and made it flush with the ground so there's no trip hazard or anything. I thought that was a good idea, because I was thinking most of them have like lips on them, but this would be nice. You could just go right into it. So we'll just put it down. It'll be a couple-day project, and
So
we'll
you're
just go
digging
ahead
down and filling it up?
and digging it down, filling it up. And the engineered wood fibers, all you have to do is, and then they stay perfectly fine. And with our hopefully new public works employee, one of his jobs as park maintenance would be to go around and keep those nice and fluffy.
Any word on the public?
Oh, well, it'll be in the paper this weekend, and we'll start from there, and hopefully we can generate somebody pretty quickly, especially for water, because water is the big thing where we need somebody.
So our short-term problem, the one we have to take care of right away, is getting the engineered wood fiber under the playground equipment so that
Yeah.
kids get a soft landing.
Yeah.
longer term that we need to get estimates on and think about is what kind of playground equipment we're going to put back for the stuff we take out, and how we're going to deal with the pond out there at Howard Park.
The pond, I think, is pretty much staying exactly the way it is. In talking with, I think I brought this up, you might not have been at this meeting. The state basically told us that, well, if we hire this type of engineer, get the Army Corps of Engineers involved, hire a wetland specialist, and all these things just to see if we can drain it. It was like, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars before we've moved a bucket of water to restore it to what it used to be. So the other option is just let it grow in, let it return to its net, at least the exterior part, so it'll block itself off. This is only like one opening now. By removing, and the inspector approves it too, if I just remove the playground equipment and eventually put the playground in the outfield, past the outfield fence, the hazard element kind of goes away from it.
Okay.
But a one phone call, the cost, we're going through the roof to do something I thought was nice by returning it to what it used to be, but that's not going to work. Yeah. As soon as you mentioned wetlands, even restoring wetlands, it turns into an entire project.
Right.
So the weeds will grow back up in that spot in a couple of seasons, and you won't even know it's there.
Okay.
The playground equipment, I did talk with the playground committee about it, the rec committee. This equipment is incredibly expensive. So maybe looking at the budget of fiscal 18, we'll try and get some money in to fix it. Because we're spending a lot of money in the park now that we hadn't planned on. This well keeps getting more and more expensive.
And the grants that we tried to apply for park equipment end up being very small compared to the cost of the stuff. You can get a $10,000 grant, but it costs $50,000 to put a playscape in.
North Bennington, we went through that in North Bennington.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievably
For
expensive.
a swing set, just a simple swing set cost. 'Cause it
Well,
has to be-
yeah. Mitch just asked a question, what's going on with the well? Well, the new filtering system has a habit of turning itself off.
UV,
Yeah.
with its lightning strike or whatever.
Yeah, so we have the engineer in last week, and I didn't hear from him today, so I'm going to call him again next week. You designed the system,
Right.
and it's not running. So what's going on? Meanwhile, I have the bill from Frost who installed it according to the specifications, and they're saying, the diagram, there it is. So
Is it equipment failure, Dave, or is it design failure?
I don't know. I haven't heard directly from the engineer on it. Walt, before I left, he was showing me what was happening, and I called, and I know that the representative from Mance went and looked at it, and he was going to try and figure out what the problem was. But I haven't heard yet from him.
Okay.
So, can't just turn on water anymore, can you?
It can't go to a playground either. How did we ever survive?
So on the next meeting, we talked about the bid opening that Tony and I covered, and then the bid awards, which we covered tonight, was also an action item. And then the only one I caught tonight was finding out what consequences of somebody refusing a PFOA test are. Let's ask the state first,
Yeah,
because that won't
just ask.
cost us anything, and see what they say.
Yeah, see what they say. There might be time for lawyers later.
We have a standing item to discuss real estate. I don't believe we have anything to discuss at the present time. Nothing has changed in any of the real estate deals that we're interested in quite a while, so we'll just tread water on those. In which case, we're ready to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Mitch.
Second.
Second by Tony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.